We are going to do question number 57 to 71, NCERT Exemplar Class 7. These questions are true and false based questions. So question number 57 says that two right angles are complementary to each other. So right angles, you should know what are right angles. Its measure is 90 degrees. So if I take two right angles, and if we add these two angles, what do we get? We get 180 degree. And what are complementary angles? Those angles whose sum is 90 degree. As we can see here, the sum of these two angles here, 90 plus 90 gives 180 degree. So it's not complementary. In fact, it is supplementary. Therefore, this statement is false. Question number 58, it says one obtuse angle and one acute angle make a pair of complementary angles. So we should know that what are obtuse angle. We know that any angle whose measurement is more than 90 degrees. So you can say 95 degree as one obtuse angle, and the other an acute angle. Say you can take any small angle, say maybe 5 degree also. When you add these two angles, what do you get? 95 plus 5, that gives you 100 degree. It cannot be complementary angles. As you know, complementary angles are those whose sum is 90 degree. So if one angle is obtuse, as you know, the sum should be the sum of these two angles. Sum of these two angles should give you 90 degree in order to be a complementary. As you know, one angle itself is more than 90 degree. The other, as you know, angles cannot be negative so as to make 90 degree. Therefore, this statement is false. In question number 59, it says two supplementary angles are always obtuse angle, not necessarily be. Like for example, supplementary are those whose sum is 180 degree. I need to get sum as 180 degree. Check here. We can take two angles. Like say, if I take one as obtuse and say the other has to be 85 degree, as you can see, sum is to get 180 degree. So, but they are saying that both the angles, this as well as this should be 180 degree. Not possible. What we should know that if one is obtuse, the other has to be acute, or if one is acute, the other has to be obtuse in order to become a supplementary angle. So therefore, this is also a false statement. In question number 60, it says, as one acute and one obtuse angle make supplementary angles, then two right angles always supplementary to each other. That's right. As you know, for a condition for supplementary is that the sum of these two angles should be 180 degree. So they're talking about two right angles. As you can see, this is one right angle and the other right angle. Their sum comes out to be 180 degree, and therefore this is a correct statement. In this next question, that is 61, it says one obtuse angle and one acute angles make a pair of supplementary angles. Yes, that's correct. Say if I take any acute angle, then the other has to be obtuse. Right? I took one first as acute and the other is obtuse. Their sum is 180 degree. So if I take any other angle, like say for example, I took one acute angle, the other must be an obtuse. The other must be an obtuse. Like say for example, in this case, I have to write this as 110 in order to make 180 degree. So for two angles to be supplementary, if one angle is acute, then the other must be obtuse in order for them to become a supplementary angle. In question number 62, it says both angles of a pair of supplementary angles can never be acute angles. Yeah, when two angles are supplementary, say if I take two angles, so that their sum comes out to be 180 degree. So it says both angles of a pair of angles can never be acute. That's right. if I place this as 80 degree and acute angle, then I must place the other angle, as you can see, 100. So if I'm taking one as acute, the other must be an obtuse angle for them to become supplementary. So this is a false statement. Two acute angle, even if I take the angle, like say for example 89 or maybe 89 point something less than 90 degree, and the other to be say that 89 again, we end up getting 178, which is not is equal to 180 degree. In question number 63 says two supplementary angles always form a linear pair. Let's check. For example, I took an angle here. Say first angle I have to take two supplementary angles. Say this is one, and let's say this be the other. Let's say this angle is 70 degree and take this as 110 degree. Now these are supplementary. Clearly, as you can see, 70 and 110 makes 180 degrees. So they are forming 180 degree, or you can say they are supplementary angles. But as you can see from the figure, they are not forming a linear pair. As you know, for an angle to form a linear pair, they must be adjacent. Like say, for example, this is one more conditions. Like say here, this angle is 60 degree. This will be 120 degree. In this case also they are supplementary, and this also is an example of a supplementary angles. But what is the difference here? The first one in this diagram, so this one, they are forming a linear pair, but this other one, they are not forming a linear pair, as they are not adjacent angles. Moreover, their sum is not giving a straight line. So in order for two angles to be forming a linear pair, for an angle to form a linear pair, there are two important conditions. Now, condition number one, they must be supplementary. The two angle must be supplementary. And the second condition is that they must be adjacent angle. As it is given in the question, only they are supplementary, but they are not given adjacent angles. Therefore, this should be considered as a false statement. In the next question, that is 64, it says two angles making a linear pair are always supplementary. Let's check. For example, if I make a straight line and let's make another angle. If I take this as the angle, take this angle and this angle, say A and B. As you can see, they are the sum of these two angles is 180 degrees, so it's forming a linear pair. So since it is forming a linear pair, their sum has to be 180 degree. Right? The reverse is not. Two angles which are supplementary may or may not be forming or making a linear pair. But if it is forming a linear pair, it has to be supplementary. In question number 65 says two angles making a linear pair are always adjacent. Let's say once again, we can take an example here. Say I made a straight line and as this B, two angles, I took this angle say as A and the other as B. Now they are forming a linear pair as the sum of this is forming a straight angle, that is 180 degree. And now look into these two angles. So it's very clear from the diagram that they are also adjacent angles. Let's say this is the first angle, and say the other one, this one is the second angle. So for two angles to be adjacent, they must have a common vertex. Yes, there is a common vertex here. You can see I'm highlighting this. This is a common vertex, and there must be common arms. Yes, we can see that this is a common arm. This is a common arm. And the non-common arms, that means this one and this one, are on the either side of the common arms. One is on this side, another is on this side. So all three conditions of adjacent angles are made. So two angles making a linear pair are always adjacent angle. Yes, this is a correct statement. In question number 66, it says vertically opposite angles form a linear pair. So let's make two vertically opposite angles. Say here, this and this are pair of vertically opposite angle. The other pair will be this and this. Clearly, here these vertically opposite angles are equal in measurement, right? They cannot form a straight line. I repeat, the vertically opposite angles are equal. Adding these two is not giving you a straight line. Therefore, vertically opposite angles never forms a linear pair. So this is a false. In question number 67, it says that interior angles on the same side of a transversal with two distinct parallel lines are complementary to each other. So we can make two parallel lines, say this and this are two parallel lines. Let there be a transversal. Let's say this one is acting as a transversal. Now they are talking about the interior angles on the same side of the transversal. So say this is one and interior angle. So this is one. I can take the other as this. As you can see here in the diagram, these are interior angles on the same side of the transversal and clear with the two distinct parallel lines. Now they are talking, say, they are asking that are these two angles complementary? That's not true. We should know that. Say, for example, if I name these two angles, say as angle A and angle B, you should know that the sum of these two angles, that is co-interior angle on the same side, is equal to 180 degree. So they are not complementary. In fact, they are supplementary. So this is a false statement. In question number 68, it says vertically opposite angles are either both acute angles or both obtuse angles. So let's make a pair of vertically opposite angles. As you can see here, this is one pair of vertically opposite angles, say this and this, and the other, this is other pair of vertically opposite angles. As it is clear from the diagram that these two are acute and these two are obtuse. So that means if one pair of vertically opposite angles is acute, then the other pair has to be obtuse. It has to be. Look into this. As we are changing it, then the red one, right, becomes acute and the black one becomes obtuse. The same, as we decrease the angle between this black one, the red one is increasing. So there is a relation that if one pair of vertically opposite angles are acute, then the other pair has to be obtuse. Now, when we read the statement once again, it says that vertically opposite angles are either both acute or both obtuse, and that's a correct statement. So this is true. In question number 69, it says a linear pair may have two acute angles. Linear pair are what? Like two angles whose sum is 180 degree are called linear pair. So that's false because as we know that the sum of these two angles is 180 degree. If one is less than 90 degree, that if one is acute, so one is acute, the other, that means this one, has to be an obtuse angle. So this is a false statement. So this is false. In question number 70 says an angle is more than 45 degree, then its complementary angles must be less than 45 degree. That's correct. You know that two angles are said to be complementary if their sum is 90 degree. So if I take an angle which is less than 40 degrees, 30 degree, then I have to take the other angle as 90 degree. Sorry, other angle as 60 degree. 60 degree. So if one is less than 45 degree, the other has to be greater than 45 degree. We can take an angle even closer to these. Like say, for example, if I take one angle as 44, which is less than 45, then the other angles has to be taken as 46, which is more than 45 for them to be called as complementary angles. So this is a true statement. It says, question number 71, two adjacent angles always form a linear pair. This is an incorrect statement. We can verify this. Like say, I'm making two adjacent angles. As you can see, I have made two adjacent angles. From the figure, you can say this is angle A and angle B. Let's see, does it meet the condition of an adjacent angle? For an adjacent angle, there must be a common vertex. As I can see, we have a common vertex for this. The second condition is that they must be having a common arms. That is also true. As we can see, this is a common arms. This arm is present for the is there in the both the angles, angle A as well as B. And the non-common arms is this, and this should be on the either side of the common arms, which is also correct. As you can see, one arm is to this side of the common arm and the other is to this side. So they are adjacent angles. That's true. But if you add them, are you getting a straight line? Or you can say that the non-common arms, as you can see, the non-common arms are not opposite. As you can see, this is opposite. This is opposite to opposite rays. But as of now, you can say these non-common arms are not opposite rays or opposite to each other. Therefore, this is a false statement. Two adjacent angles always form a linear pair is an incorrect statement.